If prostitution is immoral, why is the whole world selling images for approval? Three women sit down under soft lighting. Before they laugh, before they tell stories, before they reveal pain, the audience is already told what they are. Three prostitutes. And just like that, perception locks into place. Now every word they say gets filtered through the title. If they laugh, it becomes street humor. If they cry, it becomes trauma. If they speak intelligently, people say, "Wow, they're actually smart." Actually smart compared to what? The label already lowered the audience's perception before the women even opened their mouths. That is how the ego works. It labels first, then mistakes the label for reality. But the entire interview accidentally exposes something devastating. Nobody can actually see a prostitute. Nobody. People can see bodies, clothes, makeup, movement, posture. But prostitute is not something the eyes detect. It is a concept projected onto behavior. And the proof is embarrassingly simple. Take the same three women. Put them in tailored business suits. One elevator ride upward. One glass conference table. One corporate lobby. One polished title card that says, "Three female entrepreneurs." Now suddenly the audience sees confidence, ambition, resilience, intelligence, leadership, power. Nothing real changed. Only the costume changed. Only the framing changed. Only the label changed. And yet the audience experiences an entirely different reality. That should terrify the ego because it reveals how perception is manufactured. The interviewer unknowingly gives away the entire game when one of the women says, "You can get picked up anywhere." That line destroys the illusion that prostitution only exists on Figueroa. Now the blade becomes symbolic. It is not just the street corner anymore. It is the mall, the airport, the bus stop, Instagram, LinkedIn, Hollywood, politics, religion, corporate America, YouTube, the dating app, the networking event, the carefully curated social media profile. Society condemns prostitution while simultaneously prostituting identity everywhere. Everybody is selling something called a self. Some people sell sex appeal. Some sell intelligence. Some sell spirituality. Some sell morality. Some sell outrage. Some sell success. Some sell victimhood. Some sell luxury. Some sell authenticity. Different costumes. Same transaction. Approve of me. Choose me. Validate me. Pick me. That is why the title cuts so deeply. If prostitution is immoral, why is the whole world selling images for approval? Because the women on Figueroa are not exposing some distant moral underworld. They are exposing the entire structure of the ego. The ego survives through image management. That is why people spend hours rehearsing personalities, polishing resumes, adjusting camera angles, filtering photographs, building brands, curating identities, and performing marketable versions of themselves. The modern world runs on marketable self-images, and yet society pretends prostitution only happens when money directly exchanges for sex. That is convenient, because it allows people to condemn one version of the mechanism while participating in another version every single day. The ego always says, "Their selling is shameful, mine is respectable." But the interview quietly exposes the hypocrisy. One of the women says they can go to the mall in sweatpants and still get approached for a date. That matters deeply, because it reveals the identity is not objectively there. It exists in perception. The men approaching them are not scanning for literal prostitutes. They are projecting meanings onto appearance, body language, energy, fantasy, and desire. Which means the perceiver is revealing himself, not truth. That is exactly what A Course in Miracles means when it says, Projection makes perception. The mind projects first, then claims it merely observed. That is why the interviewer remaining off-camera is so symbolic. The women are fully visible. The judge is hidden. The observed are exposed. The observer appears neutral, but neutrality vanished the second the title appeared. 3 Prostitutes was already a judgment disguised as a description. And the irony is brutal. The interviewer believes what they do defines them, because he secretly believes what he does defines him too. Documentarian, truth-teller, voice-giver, observer of society. Different costume, same identity structure. That is why the entire interview keeps collapsing into contradiction. We chose this. We were dealt these cards. This doesn't define us. We're very good at what we do. The ego constantly swings between empowerment and victimhood because it cannot stabilize a false self permanently. It can only narrate one. That is why people become addicted to storytelling, not because the stories are true, but because without the stories, the identity begins to dissolve. And the ego fears dissolution more than suffering. That is the real terror underneath the interview. Not prostitution, not pimps, not clients, not police. The real terror is the possibility that the costumes are not the self at all. Because if a title can determine reality before anyone speaks, if a costume can completely alter perception, if approval rises and falls with presentation, then what exactly is the person everyone has been defending this whole time? Maybe the whole world is standing under different streetlights, selling different costumes, while pretending one corner is holy and another one is sinful.